the power of identity and how you can create a new one today. So this is probably the coldest thing that I can say in the client's face when I tell them you are the reflection of all the things that you believe yourself to be. So if you look in the mirror and you see the life that you love, guess what? You exactly are who you believe yourself to be. But if you look in the mirror, you look at your life and you see that it's not in the place that you want it to be. If you see that you're struggling in some areas that you would love to be thriving in, it is actually a reflection of who you believe yourself to be and who you believe or what you believe you deserve in life. Now, here's the thing. Your identity is so big, and it's because it dictates everything you do from there on forward. I'll give you an example. If you believe yourself to be someone that is worthy of being paid a lot of money, right? High ticket prices or a high salary, whatever it is, guess what you're going to do? You're going to put yourself in position to obtain those things, whether it's by raising your prices, applying for the big jobs, whatever the case may be, even just networking and finding the people, the spaces, the organizations that can give you these opportunities. But if you don't believe that you're worth these things, guess what you're going to do? You're going to avoid them. You're actually going to avoid them so bad that people are going to give you the opportunity. You're going to look at it and say, nah, I'll pass. And then you'll go do something that's a low level activity like, I don't know, maybe watching Netflix for 5, 6, 7 hours. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that or that you should never do that, right? But it's more so the frequency of that. So if you're doing that every single weekend or every single day, there may be a problem with that. But I digress. Identity is everything. And I truly believe that when clients come to me, they come to me because they have an identity that they have right now that is not conducive for the life that they want. So I'll give you an example. And I've given examples, but I'll give you another one. If someone wants to develop the identity of a risk taker, the identity of a hard worker, the identity of someone that is successful and someone that everybody looks up to, they can't do that if they have the identity of someone that's not worthy or not good enough, right? That's something that they will have to shed, because once they shed it, they'll then start to do high level activities. But that's the thing, and that's why people need coaches. That's why even myself need a coach, because we need to shift the identities that we have so that we can shift the actions that follow along with those identities. So this is why people come to me. They come because they have an identity that's not helpful. They meet with me and I give them the tools, give them the strategies, and they set goals with these tools and strategies. And if they take action long enough, they start to develop a whole new identity. And it's this new identity that they're able to go through life with. And when they do that, they look up one day and it's like, yo, I have everything that I've wished for. My life has totally transformed. That is the power of these shifts that we need to make. And it's real simple on how to make these shifts happen. And I'll give you some questions to think about. And if you have an opportunity, I would even tell you to write some of these down. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is, who do I want to be? That is a simple question, but it's one that may take some people some time. Who do you want to be in the midst of a struggle? Who do you want to be when it comes to your relationships? Who do you want to be when it comes to your career? Who do you want to be 60 years from now, right? Depending on your age, you may be like a very, very old person. So maybe I should say 30 years. Whatever the case it may be, that question will then dictate the goals that you need to set. Because if you tell me you want to be let's just say a New York Times bestseller, there's certain steps that person will need to take up until they become that person. I love the story of people like Stephen King and J.K. Rowling. If you don't know their stories, read them. These are people who have struggled for years, and then all of a sudden they got their break and they become the biggest writers of all time. And a lot of people only see the end part and not the beginning, and not even the middle when they were struggling. This is what it means to have an identity, right? When you have that identity, no matter what storm comes, it's very hard to shake you, rock you, to convince you that you're something that you're not. And this is a big place of where confidence, or even the lack of confidence, comes from. Because when people self-sabotage, and I may be going on to another topic, but even when people self-sabotage, it solely comes from a place of thinking that this is what they're worth. And when that happens, guess what they do? They follow these self-fulfilling prophecies to make the images in their mind match what's in their reality, what's physically and literally in their hands or even in their bank accounts. So that's the power of identity, guys. So the first question is to ask, who do you want to be? The second question that you need to ask is, what are the actions that person typically takes? And if you're lucky, you may have people in your life or people that you can look up to that actually have the identities that you're looking to have. If so, look at what they're doing on a day-to-day basis And if these people are really successful, there's a good chance they have some documentary, some type of like information that's on the web that you can look at and you can see typically what it is that they do. Now, here's one thing that I think a lot of people skip and think that, I don't have to do that part. A lot of people skip the fact that they need a coach. They need someone that's been to the mountaintop. They need someone that's been to the mountaintop and has taken other people to that mountaintop in order to coach them. But a lot of people look at the prices or the time or the effort and say, I'll skip that. I can figure it out on my own. Well, you've been trying for years and we still haven't gotten there. And that's the thing about coaching. I may do another podcast about this. But the power of coaching comes from the fact that you can take the information that someone has spent years learning and you can fast forward your progress in an instant. And when you do that, you're able to have the transformations that you're looking for. Not only that, you can then spend more time enjoying that transformation. So think about it. Would it be great to be a multimillionaire at age 30, 40, or 50, whatever it is, versus age 90, when maybe you can't really enjoy it as much? I like to think so, right? But you have to be able to be willing to invest in yourself. And that's another thing about identity too. It's going to be these actions, and sometimes they may be tough and uncomfortable actions because they're new. But it's going to be the actions that's going to further carve out who this person is, who you believe yourself to be. But you have to be willing to do that. Now, I'll give you another thing to think about, okay? Especially if you're ever struggling with doubt or anything like that. I would love for you to imagine the identity of the person that you want to be. And again, this may be a celebrity that you know or someone, maybe a parent or a friend or whoever it is. I want you to imagine them. And then I want you to imagine them looking at you and the problems that you're going through, or even the doubt that you may be having. And I want you to look at things from their perspective and think, what would they say to me if they saw me going through this problem or having this doubt that I'm having? Okay, now I'm gonna give you an example because I want to make this clear. So if I'm ever struggling with doubt, okay, this is me personally. If I'm ever struggling with doubt, I always imagine what things will look like from the perspective of a Kobe Bryant or Denzel Washington. I want to imagine me sitting right behind their eyes, looking at me as I'm sitting here, going through all this doubt. And I like to think or ask myself, what would they say to me if they saw me going through this? It is that information that I take and I hold on to. And this now becomes a part of my identity. And if it is a part of my identity, I need to prove it to myself by acting as if. I need to act as if this identity is already something that I possess. By doing this, it's going to give me all the confidence that I need to take these actions that I've been procrastinating all my life. That's what it means to have an identity. And that's how you're able to build it. And once you build that identity, if you're consistent and you're protecting it, it's going to be something that you have for the rest of your life. And that's the power of identity. That's the power of coaching as well. So I hope this podcast helps you guys. And I want you guys to see the power of this. Because once you have this identity, once you believe yourself to be who you are, the actions that you're taking next becomes a lot easier. Because as James Clear once said, writers write, readers read, and people who work out, they typically work out. And it's the same thing for you, whatever identity that you're looking to build. Thank you guys. This is Coach Wells. Subscribe to the podcast so that way you can get more content like this. All right, guys. Later.